Hi there, this is Mike Wolf, and thank you for tuning in. And today I'm going to answer another question that came in through email earlier today. And it says, "Hi Mike, hope all is going well with you. Because of being so crazy with my other business, I think I overlooked some very important information. The owner of a couple of duplexes here in Calgary, who lives in Ontario, has asked me if I could help her sell these units. I agreed. I listed on Kijiji, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's like Craigslist. That's an online classified ad website. So she listed on Kijiji, got a lot of response. Long story short, two families are in a bidding war for these properties, and the owner is asking for negotiating offers. Never heard of that. Since I am not a real estate agent, how do the mortgages get paid off? Who contacts the bank, etc.? I'm bombarded with a ton of questions. I have no idea how to answer my question, how do I get my marketing fee? I thought this was going to be easy, not so. I'm having nightmares. Anyway, there's a lot of different issues in this short email. So firstly, the big one is, the proper way to do a deal like this, if you're not a realtor, first of all, you can't typically, in a lot of jurisdictions, including Calgary, you can't represent somebody else in this sort of fashion unless you have some kind of interest, what's called an equitable interest in the property, meaning you have a share of ownership perhaps, or maybe you have it under contract, which would have been a good way to do it. Or you could potentially have a limited power of attorney from the seller to do this. So that's the first issue, is that you're not really in a good position to be representing somebody on this sort of transaction. But I will answer your questions. So let me look at them again here. Who pays? How do the mortgages get paid off? Okay, this is all going to have to go through a lawyer's office. The lawyer is going to do up all the paperwork and ensure that the title is clean for the next purchaser. They're going to pay off all the liens. This is something that if you were a realtor, you would have pulled title on the property to make sure there's equity in there first of all. There's a lot of things you would have and should have done, because if perhaps an offer was accepted and there wasn't any equity, let's say the mortgage was worth more than the property. In Calgary, that's probably not the case, because Calgary prices have been going up steadily for the last little bit here. But if you could be putting everybody in a really bad spot. So at this point where you're at, you could, well, what I would have done is I would have put this under contract, meaning I would have written an offer on it for X amount of dollars, and then I would have tried to resell it, which is what you're basically doing. You're selling it to somebody else and taking the middle, and that's called, there's different ways to do that. You could assign it's called assigning a contract, which means you take a contract and you sell it to another investor. That's wholesaling. You could do what's called a double close, meaning at the same time that you close on it, the next purchaser closes on it, and you keep what's in the middle. You have to be a little bit careful with that. I can't go into all the details here. The easiest way at this point would be to get, I'd almost turn it over just to the seller, let them deal with it, or get a realtor. Depending on how much you're going to get paid to do this, you're wondering how you're going to get paid. Well, part of the problem is that, once again, you're not a licensed realtor, so these are all things that hopefully you negotiated beforehand with the seller. And I would almost sign up a limited power of attorney. It's a very simple contract, just gives you permission to represent this owner, and basically have another contract saying that they're going to pay you X amount of dollars to deal with the transaction. And I would get a good lawyer who can help you, or a realtor friend that can help you to answer some of the questions that are coming in. I'd be happy to answer as many of the questions as I can. Let's see. So who contacts the bank? That would be the lawyer. How the mortgages get paid off? That's a lawyer. You're bombarded with a ton of questions. So you can email me the rest of your questions. I'd be happy to answer them. But typically what you want to do in the future before you do this kind of deal is you want to make sure you have some equitable interest in the property. So it could be as easy as writing up an offer subject to you being able to resell it. There's a number of different ways to do it. Like I said, that's a whole course in and of itself, because that's wholesaling. And anyway, so best thing to do is, at this point, I would get either a realtor on board, I would get a lawyer on board, and I would get some kind of permission from the seller. So I hope that helps. I know you're kind of in a bad spot, and feel free to send me another email or call me, and I'll be glad to try and bail you out from where you're at. But for anybody who's listening, always make sure that you have some kind of interest in a property before you go marketing it, because you can get yourself in really big trouble, especially these days. So thanks for tuning in. I hope that helps, and we'll see you in the next video.